All right, here now to react is Judge Andrew Napolitano, Fox News senior judicial analyst. Well, Judge, liberals lost big time on Kavanaugh. They put a lot of eggs in that basket of preventing him from getting the Supreme Court. Now they're thinking up strategies to prevent him from being powerful on the Supreme Court. And one of the strategies, we're going to talk about impeachment in a second, but is packing the Supreme Court. That is, if and when they get in power, increase the number of justices on the Supreme Court from 9 to 10 or 12 to diminish the power of the individual justices picked by Trump.
So we've only had an experience like that once in the modern era, and of course it was the left that was involved in its efforts to
FDR.
Correct, to pack the Supreme Court. It became so unpopular. He proposed this at a time when he had huge majorities in both houses of the Congress. And it became so unpopular, he washed his hands of it and claimed it was somebody else's proposal, blamed it on his attorney general.
So there would have to be a political revolution even stronger than that which FDR had to make this happen.
I would think to make it happen politically, but legally, it could happen with a majority vote in the House and a majority vote
That's all
in the Senate and the president's signature, because the number of Supreme Court justices is not fixed in the Constitution. It was originally 6, then it was 5, then it went up to 7. It's been 9 for 100 years.
Well, the one thing that would be more difficult to do is impeach Justice Kavanaugh.
Yes.
Explain how that impeachment would happen and why people like Jerry Nadler are still stuck in the idea of doing it.
God, you'd have to ask Congressman Nadler why he's stuck on doing it. I think this is
by the way, Jerry Nadler, if the Democrats win the House of Congress,
yes,
he would become the head of the Judiciary Committee.
Correct, which is where all impeachment proceedings would originate. I suggest to you he's probably saying this because their polls are telling them that their left-wing base wants to hear it. But impeachment would have to be based on, same as impeachment of the president, treason, bribery, or other high crime or misdemeanor. Ordinarily, impeachment is confined to behavior in office. But there is authority that says behavior that gets you into office could be the subject of an impeachment. Majority vote in the House, 2/3 in the Senate. Simply not going to happen.
Now, to give the Democrats their due, it is true that for the first time in my lifetime anyway, we could have more justices in the Supreme Court who, rather than picked by a supermajority in the Senate, have been picked by a simple majority. And in some cases, the simplest majority, 50 votes.
Right.
Is there a problem with that? Because our Supreme Court is to be a little more broad-based in their acceptance.
Well, before the Republicans and Democrats did this together, Harry Reid did some of it, Mitch McConnell did some. But before they got rid of the filibuster rule for judges and justices, Supreme Court justices had to have that 60-vote consensus. So they tended to have a broader support. But look, these attacks on the court are very dangerous. The court does not have an army to enforce its will. Its will is dependent upon its intellectual legitimacy and acceptance in the American legal judicial communities and the public at large. These efforts to undermine it will undermine almost everything it does.
Very quickly, the Senate probably will remain Republican. You look at the races and just the way the math is. But there is a chance, and if Democrats take over the Senate, is it conceivable that we would not have any justices in the Supreme Court or federal judges approved by the Senate for 2 years?
I'm sorry to say yes. I'm also sorry to say that Mitch McConnell, the Republican leader, started this with the so-called Garland rule, in which they refused even to consider President Obama's nominee of a perfectly qualified Supreme Court Justice, Merrick Garland. They wouldn't even hold hearings or take a vote. So this is payback. And in fact, what they did to
Harry Reid started that whole process of getting rid of the filibuster.
Listen,
rule.
you could say this started with Bork, and then it was Thomas, and then it was Garland, and then it was
Kavanaugh.
Kavanaugh.
A lot of blame to go around.
It's a ping pong ball going back and forth, but the court suffers in the interim. Remedy? Unanimous decisions out of the Supreme Court. Count them. You're going to start to see a lot.
Wow, very interesting.
Just a prediction, but I think I know where their heads are over this.
We got the videotape. We're going to hold you to that, Judge. Thank you very much.
Okay,
Andy Napolitano.